Well, while it can't match states like North Carolina and Kentucky when it comes to quantity, growers in South Georgia are able to produce some of the highest quality tobacco in the country.
Recently, a number of those producers and industry leaders took part in the annual tobacco tour. Damon Jones was there and tells us why they're so optimistic about this year's crop despite the slow start.
While the amount of tobacco planted has fallen over the past decade, the same can't be said about the quality, as growers around the state are always looking for new ways to improve their product. And that was the main reason for the annual tobacco tour, which highlights different varieties and methods being used on a number of different farms in South Georgia. And this year is especially important as the weather has been less than ideal.
Since transplanting, we've had too much rain, and it's delayed transplanting and early start of the crop. It's very erratic in its size in a lot of cases.
Even though the wet weather has been a bit of a problem early on, there is still plenty of optimism about this year's crop, provided Mother Nature cooperates.
Only problems it'll cause is if it gets real hot as it's growing fast, then we'll end up with spindly plants and lightweight leaves. As long as we don't get temperatures into the mid 90s until it reaches full height, we can be okay.
As usual, diseases are a major concern for the producers, and this year is no exception, especially considering the rainy start.
This seems to be an above average year for black shank. It's starting early, and we expect that because of the amount of rainfall and the root damage that we've had to experience.
While the disease might not be widespread throughout the state, it still remains a major problem, as there are no minor cases of this in the field.
It depends. Black shank has a very unfair distribution. So if you have it, you can have a severe problem with it, and if you don't have it, you just don't have any. So overall, though, it's a problem in the state of Georgia.
And the biggest surprise for these experts has been the increased case of tomato spotted wilt virus despite the cooler, wetter start to the growing season. Unfortunately, it's a problem that must be dealt with early on with the application of Admire and Actigard in the greenhouse.
For tomato spotted wilt virus, there's a combination of chemical treatments that can be applied that'll give about 50% control, and other than that you can't do anything. And those all have to be applied in the plant house before their plants are taken to the field. So once the plant drops out of the planter into the field, everything that can be done has been done.
Despite the early difficulties, Moore says the majority of the crop does look good, with some growers having the potential of topping 3,000 pounds per acre. However, he does warn against just simply running over pigweed in the field, as it could compromise the quality.
We've had some complaints that tobacco coming from the United States contain pigweed seed, and particularly the Chinese who have identified this are not interested in buying our pigweed seed. So let's don't give them a reason not to buy our tobacco. Let's pull those pigweeds out.
As for the amount of tobacco that will be produced in the state this year, Moore believes it will be up more than 15,000 acres, as some farmers are making their way back into the industry.
But I think it is still a very solid industry, and we have people who continue to come back to tobacco production because it is solid and dependable, and they know that they can count on tobacco to bring in money when other crops ebb and flow.
Reporting from Coffee County, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.